Okay, so thank you for attending today's webinar. Today's webinar is the recent hot topic, AI agent. Even more, the hot topic is in healthcare. Right? So we are going to touch two hot topics and combine together. So I will share my screen first. So I assume that you can see my screen, right? Okay.
Yes, we can.
Yes. So we have three big agenda, and we have a current status and what is future directions of Husky AI agent, and particularly to the digital health related. And also, we are going to have what is mean by the generative AI powered healthcare agent, and we are going to talk about what kind of the building platforms available, especially that the reliability is very important in healthcare. So we have two distinguished speakers to talk. So Manish Mathur is with Google, and then he's a famous book author. So he'll talk about his book and he share his insight. And then finally, after he's talking about after my talk, and Shiva, and she will talk about the building platform. So, so schedule like that. I will briefly talk about the agent overview, and then I will already explain you in the what are we following. Okay, so I'm not going to talk about a lot because I already shared my presentation, so you will look at it. So and then we have two distinguished stickers, so I don't need to spend a lot of time to what is the AI agent and what is their application. But usually that the most important thing that we can think about is to their like uh, automation, like automatic way to collaborate people. So why they call agent, but they are different from the traditional agent. Usually what we very familiar with is like a chatbot, right? Because they are very static, but this is like a human-like, so they can think, and so there is a dynamic reasoning. They can learn and adapt, and they can integrate. So this is very popular in when you apply in healthcare. So so actually, I wrote recently about I'm planning the big book later, but I just wrote what because I found that I tried to find out any good reference or book in AI like agent for healthcare, but I could not find. So I decided to write down for myself. So I just made this like a small box, but I'm going to increase the volume to later to more deeper level. So I already shared in my LinkedIn post, so you can see it later. And this is another one that I'll have you to I generate a bunch of the videos to explain how they actually apply in very different aspect of the healthcare. So not just for example just in like a traditional workflow they have clinical workflow, right? But also they are actually working in like a clinical application like for example diagnosis, personalized treatment, and preventing all kind of clinical like activities they can apply, and even they can apply in drug development, and also they can apply even in for example in biomedical research. So I found that not actually it is very early stage, so I couldn't find them many like reference, but as far as I found, and then I analyze and then I deliver to as a like a storytelling type. So I already shared this presentation, so please look at this one. And then for me, actually, I'm an innovator in digital health. Also, I'm 30 years experience in technology area. So I have like participate in many different type of emerging technology innovation. And additionally, I'm a U.S. patent attorney, and I'm also like a New York State attorney. So I'm a lawyer. Also, I'm an innovator. So actually, I just like look at the two side of the like technology side and then law side, and then I found that there was something that people are interested in is how to comply your medical device. Usually, recent medical devices software, so they call SAMD. So when they put it in the like in as a device, and then it is powered by AI ML, particularly generative AI. It's very like it's unexpected in a traditional regulatory scheme. So even the like a government regulator and then like an innovator, like the developing this kind of product have a very difficult situations. I've talked with many people, and as a lawyer and an innovator, obviously I come up with the idea that using AI agent, like there is a, that there is a profession they call regulation agents. So they have them to have the like people to like a pathway through the regulation. So I come up with the idea that why not using AI agent to do the similar thing. So I recommend to look at my videos. So I patent this one. Another thing that I also found, this is the one, the upcoming webinar. So I'm going to touch upon that, what the regulatory scheme and what is the AI, especially generated AI powered medical device, and how do you comply. Particularly, this guy and me are collaborating, developing like utilizing AI agent to like automate and then like have supporting platform to have this regulatory password. So I recommend to attend this one if you're interested in this field. And so actually what I'm doing for myself is as I told you that I'm a patent attorney. So I've looked at about more than 200 patent in the digital therapeutics. And then I come up with the idea that, okay, so based on my idea that I can like, for example, I can have a scheme to like how to actually when you're starting from the initial idea there how you get the like a blueprint of the whole. If you combine together, you have like a fully working digital therapeutic solutions. So I also filed this one, and then I'm developing prototype. But the essence is that and my goal here is with regards to AI agent, because this is one actually the first I train a large language model like a ChatGPT based on my understanding of the digital therapeutics, and then I divided by the seven modules to make this ChatGPT as if he's a doctor, right? In this developing this DTX. And then I just train them by my subject matter. So I provide a pre-built-in, right? And then my goal is that to be dynamic. So in later AI agent can utilize into they dynamically search what the like for example what the therapeutic like a traditional therapeutics is existing out there when there is like a new papers and new science coming out, and then research it and then analyze it, and then it automatic update my platform. So that's my goal. So that's why I'm interested in AI agent in healthcare. So I'm trying to that. Here's another one. have a patented one is that recently there was a like a FDA like approved like this kind of software. So this is for the medication software. So they with like a prescription drug, and then they relate to these drugs. So for example, medication adherence, and then like avoid of the side effects. So they want to assist the people like a patient to have a drug and then make more effective. So I'm doing the same thing. So I analyze pattern and then make a module and then presetting using like a large language model like a ChatGPT. But my final algorithm is the same thing. So I want to be like a dynamic. So I want to utilizing AI agent integration. So they dynamic search about the, like what is the available drug information out there, and then what is like a software can be work them, and then so they analyze and update. So I'm a lawyer, patent attorney. I'm working on a lot of the innovation, but I really want someone actually collaborate with me to further develop this one. I think that this is the I think game changer in digital health. Okay, so thank you. So next our main topic. So uh Manish, it's your turn, so you can share your slide and you can start.
Thank you, Alex. And let me share my screen and we will go from there. Give me 1 minute. All right. Can you see my screen?
Hmm.
All right. So thank you everyone for joining today. I think I'm really obliged by Alex to invite me to this session. I think we got a great session going today. I think this is, as we talked about, a very hot topic, not only in US, but across the world. Um, I'm Manish Mathur. I've been in the industry for more than 20 years. I started my career with Deloitte, working on healthcare, moved on to Healthcare Services Corporation, which is one of Blue Cross Blue Shields. It's like more of uh, they operate under 5 states, Illinois, New Mexico, Texas, Oklahoma, and it's more about how do you really get your claims approved and not approved. Moved on to American Medical Association, got a lot of policy stuff understood for healthcare and how the policies are built from. And this was Obama time. We were doing a lot of work in terms of making sure that the policies are for greater good and really help uh, people who don't have jobs or who don't have employer-sponsored insurance, how they can get access to healthcare. Moved on to Walgreens, again, a very different side of healthcare, where we were trying to consumerize healthcare. So how you can get health access to healthcare in a retail setting and have a easier access to healthcare besides the pharma, which is Walgreens bread and butter. Spent almost a decade at Johnson and Johnson, uh, moved from R&D to commercialization, understood a lot of data which J&J uses to not only discover drug, but how do you really target population, build a personalized medicine and whatnot. Last 3.5 years, I've been with Google Healthcare, very much focused on AI, very much focused on AI agents, very much focused on large language models and Gen AI. So I've covered in my career very much around what it takes to build an efficient healthcare system, but how healthcare can really make it efficient. That's kind of my focus. That's my passion. That's what I do. And that's what I'm going to talk to you about in next 15 minutes of how we can leverage technology, data, and AI to make healthcare better. I have provided my LinkedIn information as well as my email, so feel free to reach out to me. I think at the end of this webinar, Alex is going to send this deck as well as the information to how to connect and reach. So healthcare, right? I mean, it's the hottest topic, and it has recently become even a debate of what's going on in the um, in what happened recently and what it was very unfortunate, but it has created a debate around healthcare. You will see a lot of, I mean, if you are a news buff like me, you will see every day there is something about healthcare. There is a promises, there is not so good news is there's new drugs which come out. There's drugs which are uh, doing wonders, but at the same time, the affordability of the drugs keeps on rising. Medical imaging, there's so much news about it that what can be done, what cannot be done. So not that healthcare has not improved significantly in last 20, 25 years, but at the same time, it has created a lot of challenges in terms of affordability, in terms of access, in terms of is healthcare only for rich? Is healthcare only for um, who can afford? Pandemic, we also firsthand how healthcare infrastructure failed to meet the demands, how quickly it becomes a global issue rather than just American issue. So all those are some big, big issues which we face as a healthcare. And if you think about healthcare technology, right, I mean, it hasn't really become a mainstream. So if you go to financial industry, probably your loan gets approved within leveraging IT infrastructure. Healthcare, we haven't reached that stage, but the current generation of technology offers that promise that we can do it. There is availability of technology which we can leverage to make healthcare better. Imagine, and I remember it very vividly in 2018 or 2015, 16, we were still everything was paper based. You go to a doctor's office and they will look in the files and get the paper out. That was the first generation of electronification of records when we had Obamacare, that how we can electronify medical records. EHR systems like Cerner and Epic and all, they started coming in, but they haven't been able to solve all the problems yet. We have a lot of data now, but how do we leverage that data? That's the junction we are in. And I think this is a great time to talk about how we can really transform healthcare, leveraging this data and the huge innovation in technology we have. So all those issues which you see on this paper and that what you continue to read, uh, my hope is that we as a technologist and passionate about healthcare can make a difference and solve these challenges and problems which are kind of really making the headlines today. Um, Kerry, my colleague from Google, and I, we spent quite a bit of time in healthcare and technology, and we took a attempt to put our thoughts together on how these problems can be solved. Um, I have experience in multiple domains of healthcare, from retail, from prescriptions, from uh, medical devices, from how we can do drug discovery, how we can do commercialization of drug, how the claims are built, how the claims are adjudicated, hospital systems. Kerry has a very complementary skill set within the same set of domains around healthcare. So he worked at hospital system. He has a lot of experience in working with hospitals. So we combined our experiences and put this book together. And like, this is at the cusp of how Gen AI is shaping the world. And we took our attempt to take this knowledge of healthcare which we have and how Gen AI can be applied. Um, you will see in this book that we have used a very, I would say, common language. It is not jargon, technical jargons, not medical jargons, but a way to easily explain what is challenges in healthcare and how do you solve those challenges. For next 5 minutes, I'm going to talk a little bit about the book and how you really take advantage of this book. Our goal was that how do you really take the promises of LLM, take a practical approach and build certain use cases which can be applied. And these use cases are not theoretical use cases, but we have done ourselves, but we are seeing a lot more, um, not only startups, but also companies adopting Gen AI to solve these problems and taking these use cases. So we are seeing two trends where one is purely startups focusing on, let's say, prior authorization and they are building a whole set of technologies around that, leveraging Gen AI. Then we are seeing like companies like Johnson and Johnson applying LLMs and AI in their drug discovery process. So this book is kind of catering multiple user groups, not only from corporate sectors, but also from startups, but also from ethical groups, students. And then that's what our goal is, that we want to make sure that this book becomes more of a guidebook. It is not a deep dive into technology. It's not a deep dive that only doctors can understand, but it is something which a healthcare practitioner, and then we have listed few areas or expertise which might take advantage of this book. But the idea is that it's a guidebook. It is not supposed to be um, in-depth book on one particular domain, but it takes more of a storytelling approach. Has a lot of stories around how a single mother discovers that she has a breast cancer and the challenges she has to go through. Has a whole chapter around how a physician, when they have these bunch of transition documents or clinical notes, how do they make sense out of that as a patient starts come to see them in the morning? Administrator who's sitting in the front desk when they are admitting a patient, how do they know that what is their status of previous billing? What are the missing next steps for that patients in terms of getting flu shots or getting some practical next steps for that patient based on that patient's history. So it is a very broader scope of book. I think what it generates is a lot of ideas on how problems can be solved, but at the same time, it gives the opportunity to leverage these technologies to solve these problems. Ethicists, right? I mean, that's a big question in everybody's mind. What is this technology going to do? Are we going to behave in an ethical manner? Are the technology going to take over what we have? We have tried to address those questions, not only from a domain perspective, but also how technology can be applied to make sure that we contribute or we leverage the technology in ethical manner. So a lot of ideas around that. For students, and students could be of any age. I think I'm still a student. Um, it is a kind of how do you really, if you are new to healthcare, how do you understand what is the challenge in healthcare, why it is still such a challenging industry, why technology hasn't been used so far in healthcare, why it is not as effective as it has been in other industries. So we have tried to build the whole use cases, stories around that, so you can understand what are the challenges and how do you solve the challenges. We have divided this book into 7 chapters, and I will speed up a little bit. And I think we'll take the questions in the end. Um, First chapter is pure first and second chapter, right? It's more about giving a background in healthcare. I don't know, some of you might remember the days when the doctors used to visit at home and he used to carry a black bag. That's how we started this book. That what happened to those golden days when that black bag, which doctor had, has so many things inside it, from a thermometer to blood pressure monitor to everything, and they used to make a diagnosis, and everybody used to really respect that diagnosis. Things have changed over the years. The doctor doesn't know you personally anymore. You go, you see a person who thinks he understands all your history, and you are not able to build that personal relationship with that doctor. So that has kind of really shifted and then really made healthcare very distant. Uh, and the patients really want that personal experience. We believe AI and LLM can be ethical and at the same time build that personal relationship with the patient. And we have given few examples of that. So your doctor becomes not only your uh, companion, leveraging that AI and LLMs. Then we peek into a little bit of what is LLM. what is so great about this technology? Why is it different than other AI ML technologies? And then you will see a bunch of pictures, easy to understand concepts in the book. And throughout the book, we have carried that a theme that it should be easy to understand. And then we had a very uh, famous graphic designer who helped us put these concepts together in pictures. And throughout the chapters, you will see these pictures who are trying to explain the complex concepts in a very easy way. Um, then we go into like, yes, we built the relationship with the physician or the doctor or the surgeon. What else should we expect from them? And at the same time, the patient, the physician or the surgeon or the doctor, right, they need much better information about the patient. We delve into certain concepts. We call it uh, uh, digital twin, we call multiple theories or multiple words. But the idea is that there is a co-pilot, there is an assistant, there is a summarization, there is a translation, there is a easier way to explain medical terms, which both patient and the doctors build the deep relationship on. Um, so we get into more of those details about why that relationship which patient used to have with their doctors is no longer there and how LLMs and AI can help build that relationship. They're explaining the medical jargons in a much easier way for patient to understand. They're translating into multiple languages. They're explaining not in a network. What does that mean and how does it impact the patient? They're explaining the physician that why that code which they were pulling into their claim is not part of that claim. They're explaining why this claim will get rejected because they have looked at multiple thousands of those claims and they get rejected. And they're suggesting that the claim should be modified in certain way to get accepted. So those are some things which technology leveraging data can easily fix it. And then that's where I think the power of AI comes into, power of Gen AI comes into play. These are simple problems, but they cost $1 trillion in our healthcare system. Every claim, there's 30% most likely it will get rejected when submitted. Um, and prior authorization, right? 80% of the prior authorizations get approved. But the way insurance industry work is that they will reject those prior authorizations. So those are the challenges which frustrates not only the patients, it frustrates the healthcare administrators, it frustrates the insurance industry itself, right? I mean, they would rather approve a claim rather than reject a claim if it is appropriate claim. But their systematic processes which have built behind the scenes over the years wants to avoid fraud, wants to avoid disruption, and they are built to automatically start rejecting claims. So these are the things, if AI and Gen AI can leverage appropriately, can be avoided. Then we get into some really advanced use cases from public health policy perspective. Then we get into some R&D perspectives uh, as drug discovery is happening. A typical R&D organization, if you think about Johnson& Johnson, if you think about Novartis, they have thousands of people, spend almost $1 trillion in discovering drugs. Out of the drug discovery pipeline, 90% of those drugs will fail in third stage of before it goes to approval, which is almost multiple billions of dollars gets wasted every year. If they had this thing uh, known before, right? If they know that this pipeline drug has been already gone through certain level of approvals through FDA and not been approved. They can understand what needs to be changed, what molecule they're targeting, how do you change that molecule, and how do you really build a different pathway for that drug. These are um, huge problems in the industry. Not all the data is understood. The data is dispersed across multiple domains. It is kind of siloed in multiple systems within the organization, but not only within the organization across the globe, right? I mean, there's these data are in siloed. most of the clinical trial happens in one siloed up hospital somewhere in, let's say in India, there's a hospital doing a clinical trial. That data remains over there. That data is not shared with the world. What if we could share those data? Uh, that is the possibility which Gen AI has, and summarized it to the not only to the FDA but also to the drug discovery organization. I mean, one of the estimates we had that 70% of these problems can be solved if we can share the data in a summarized way and then really uh, build that capability which pharmacy R&D groups can not only preemptively know what's happening in their drug discovery process, but also take actions on that. Other piece which is huge in drug discovery process is the clinical trials and recruitment of patients. Um, I have talked to multiple retail organizations, including uh, CVS and all that. I mean, they are building a huge pipeline or business models on how they can really recruit clinical trial patients because they have a very good understanding of their patient population. If at the time of interaction with the patient, they can get a summary of what the clinical trial is looking for and how this patient fits or not fits or is a possible candidate for that trial. A typical patient recruitment is almost $12,000 to recruit a patient, and they drop within 3 months. Yes, 30% of the clinical trial fails because they couldn't get the right level of patient population enrolled, or they fail to continue their clinical trials because the patient dropped off or they were not the right patient for their trial. So, huge possibility on how data and AI can be not only leveraged but also help identify the right patient, continue the patient enrolled. Most of these patients have a lot of I would say, anxiety questions about the trials, how they could have a companion, which is AI companion, and they can answer their questions as they're going through the trials. So a lot of use cases in there addressed few uh, public health concerns. We went through a pandemic recently. We know what uh, it feels like, it looks like, so many questions. I think we all went through that anxiety. We all wished instead of watching TV channels and CNN, we had a personalized way to hear what's going on and how does it apply to me as I'm going through that pandemic. Um, lot of discussion around that. Um, then everything is about ethicals, right? How do we really make this ethical and do not cross that boundary? We want to make sure that we are respectable for patient boundaries, physician boundaries. We don't cross over and take over what the patients are going through. What is their personal identification? How do we make sure that that is secured? So all those concerns, right? How do we make sure that have? I don't think we have solved that problem or we will be able to solve that problem, but that is a continuous area one has to look into. In our book, we have tried to build certain models which basically can help address these questions. At Google, we saw when we started Gen AI, there was so many, I would say, over or under parameters which cross certain boundaries. I think one of the things was Sundar Pichai was doing a demo of one of the Gen AI models, and Mount Washington showed all black presidents. So those are the type of things can happen if you are over parameterizing certain pieces of LLMs. But how do you find the right balance? That's what we have tried to put it together, not only from organization perspective, but from process perspective as well as technical parameters. Lastly, but not least, we have give a list of use cases. It is happening. It is not a distant dream. It's not a theory. It is happening. It is coming, and it is by 2030, I believe, a lot of these use cases which we have would be in production. So it is not a distant dream. It is not something which is just as a fictional story. But as we saw on the first page, right, there is no choice. Healthcare has to use this technology. They have to take an advantage. There's no longer, um, yes, technology is there, but healthcare, we are so unique. We can live without it. That is no longer the case. We have seen that, we are seeing it. And my belief is next 3 to 4 years or 5 years, there would be um, tremendous opportunities to not only leverage this technology, but also create efficiencies in the system, make it more personalized, make it more efficient, make it more cost effective, and have a better health experience. I think we have this huge opportunity in front of us to make it happen. And I think this book is my first attempt, but this is just evolving field and this is going to continuously change. I mean, we have seen very healthcare specific models which are coming out. So companies like NVIDIA have BioNemo, Google has MedPalm, AWS just announced very healthcare specific models. So this is a area, this is the industry which not only tech companies, but also pharma companies, also hospital systems, they all are trying to figure out how to use it the best. And this books gives them an kind of precursor of how they can do it. But a lot more happening in this industry, a lot more to come. I'll pivot a little bit and talk a little bit about agents, which is the hot topic, right? I mean, to me, agent is a self-contained decision-making service, right? So it is pretty much, it can make a decision leveraging all the data it has on a particular specific domain. Healthcare specification, right? So if you think about healthcare, we are our physicians, our doctors, they're very specialized, right? So as it gets complex and complex, we will have a cardiac specialist, we will have a oncology specialist, and then even we have super specialization within each of these specialties. Um, my belief is that in coming years, we will have domain specific agents which are making decision on that particular domain. So if a patient admitted to the hospital might have a diabetes as well as a heart attack, we need multiple domains looking into that patient's health history and making recommendations of what should be the path to have a treatment plan for that patient. And that's where the agents can be very, very specialized as well as can bring the right recommendations for that patient. So that's one area. I think the agents will become very, very specialized and specific and evolve. Other part is from a patient side, right? I might be a patient who is 50 years old, have a heart disease, and have diabetes, and have some kidney stones, right? So I have a very unique uh, patient treatment plan than a 40-year-old who might just have diabetes. And so each patient needs a very specific plan and very individualized training plan. Those could be another possibilities of these agents, which are looking into the patient's data, patient history, and building specific agents to have a treatment plan for that particular patient. Predictive monitoring, right? With each individual is different. Each individual has their own treatment plans, behaviorals, social interactions, social habits. So it's a very much how do you really build particular agents for that patient and then how they interact with their medical staff and medical staff. My payment plan would be very different than somebody else's payment plan. Do I really need to see a specialized dietitian or not, right? I might have a physical conditions which limit me to do certain things. So I think there would be very specific agents who are catered not only to the medical domain, but also um, individualized patient, and then based on their social, economic, other factors which influence that health. So these are the three areas where I think agents could be built, but there would be many more. I don't think that's we know exactly all that. But then how do you apply these agents, right? Um, as I said, right, cognitive. um, diagnostic aids, personalized and predictive medicine based on these agents, continuously monitoring invention. You can read the list and we'll send you this document, but that's the idea that these agents are specific, uh, very knowledgeable, making and recommending decisions based across certain domains and have a very deep knowledge of one domain, but at the same time, the combination of multiple domains can help. I don't think in healthcare we are going to see physicians not involved or human was always going to be involved at least in the next 5, 10 years, but they will help a physician or a doctor or a healthcare administrator make better and informed decision. These agents will help and guide how to make the right decisions. They will summarize large sets of documents and make very specific recommendations. They would be intelligent, they would be smart, they would be very domain um, specific, but they will have a way to give the human connection to the patients and then make sure that they are able to make right decisions based on their knowledge and combination of all the knowledge which is coming through AI agents as well as coming from the data of that patient or the domain knowledge of that. Here are a few agent-specific use cases I've listed out. Again, this in our book on chapter 7, we have a whole chapter dedicated to AI and AI agents. So if you get a chance, read that book. Um, I think I'm running out of time. I know this deck would be passed to you. I want to thank you all for joining. I think at the end we have some time for questions, but here's my link on my LinkedIn account. Here's my email address. Reach out to me if you have any questions. And thank you again for joining today. I'll pass it on to you, Siva.
Thank you, Manish. Yeah, next we will have another topic, very interesting topic about the building platform. Actually, Shiva, actually, I attended his talk in Harvard University, and I was very like found it very, very, very fantastic innovation, right? So he will share his innovation, how to build reliable, because I say that the reliable security, or like mentioned above, because we know that the large language model has their own have some challenges, especially like hallucination of the bias, a lot of the security measure like that. So we will from hear from him how actually make this agent to be reliable. It's very important topic in healthcare. Shiva?
Thanks, Alex. Hello, everyone. Nice to meet you. Siva here, joining from New York. So I'll divide the presentation into two parts. First 5 minutes, I'll walk you through what Lyzr is. We are an agent platform, but how do we resolve the hallucination issue and improve reliability? That's something that I'll focus. And the second part is the studio, the Lyzr Agent Studio, where everyone in this call, you could actually go and build your own agents. And there is a free tier available. You can start building agents, and you don't need to know coding, especially. We call them as co-pilot agents, and I have a bunch of them running, which helps me with my productivity. So these are the two things that I'll cover. Let me get started. Okay. So to get started about Lyzr, Lyzr is an enterprise agent platform, and we focus on helping customers build reliable agents. We have several banks, insurance companies, and few healthcare companies like Atria who are already building on the platform. Uh, so if you see the problem today is almost 95% of all the AI workflow automation projects remain as proof of concepts. They don't go to production, and the issue is reliability. Three primary reasons come out. One is hallucinations. Uh, Enterprise customers or critical services in healthcare and banking, the business leaders are not ready to trust agents because hallucination could come and be a factor. Then you have the unintended agent behavior, like agents throwing toxic thing out, or agents giving into this prompt injections and so on. And the third one is the inability of the existing frameworks today to solve complex workflows. These are the three key reasons that enterprises have highlighted why they're not able to take projects to production. And there are several real world examples. Air Canada, for example, ended up paying a massive refund because the user had a prompt injection attack on the chatbot. Similarly, ChatGPT was citing fake cases to lawyers who ended up having a pretty bad day in the court. So these are some real world examples that are obviously bringing a lot of hesitation among uh, so the enterprises. And current drop, there are few options, but there are issues as well. For example, open source frameworks, they come with vulnerability, so they are not trustworthy because there could be attacks. There are proprietary platforms, but they're not developer friendly. They're very closed in nature. The RPA platforms are from the previous era, and they're figuring out how to deal with generative AI. And eventually, everyone resort to custom development, which results in a lot of time and cost, and you're not able to maintain standard. So we looked at this, and we've been building this framework for the last 12 months, and now we have the second generation of agents up and running. So what you see here is one single agent architecture. So the data passes through safe AI modules, which takes care of removing any personally identifiable information, which is very important in the healthcare space. And you can also tune it to handle PHI data as well, personal health data as well. The agent checks for toxicity. If the user is toxic, it doesn't even proceed any further. If the user is trying to do a prompt injection attack, it doesn't take uh, uh, I would say, the information any further. And similarly, the output of the LLM again goes through several modules, like responsible AI modules, which ensures that the hallucination is taken care of to a large extent. We are not saying zero hallucination, but it reduced really greatly. And number two is safe AI modules that ensures that there is no toxicity, there is no bias in the output. So by handling these aspects at a core agent level, we are able to now build a highly reliable agentic system. So that is the USP that Lyzr brings to the table, and we are the first, and at this point in time, the only agent framework to natively integrate safe and responsible AI modules to the core architecture. Here is an example of toxicity controller. Like if somebody says, "I hate you," it does not even proceed forward. It knows that it's toxic and doesn't even take it forward. Similarly, prompt injection, if someone is trying to trick the AI to get all the secrets out, the agent detects that and it doesn't, I would say, encourage or entertain the request. All this led to a large European bank come on board and build their customer refund process, automate them with Lyzr. But what we also realized was it's not just the safety and responsible aspect. It is also equally important to make the whole agentic system reliable by adopting a combination of agents. You need not have OpenAI or ChatGPT agents every time, which is what we call as LLM agents. You need to also have a mix of machine learning agents, SQL agents, and code agents as part of the mix to make the whole system reliable. Recently, we helped NTT Data, a $30 billion Japanese conglomerate, automate their workflow processes on Lyzr, and they were able to increase their accuracy of risk analysis from 59% to 87%. So it's very clear that when you bring in a machine learning agent and a code agent into the mix, your overall accuracy and reliability improves. So with that, we get into the Lyzr Agent Studio. Uh, it's easy. You just have to visit studio.lyzr.ai. It's as simple as that. And once you log in, you will have a screen. There is a quick tutorial for you to see how to build an agent. But let's actually build an agent right here. So this is the agent builder platform. And here you could build any agent that you would want. It could be as simple as a chat agent for your service, or it could be as complex as say, a diagnosis agent. So let us build one agent, right? Like, okay, health, diagnose, health symptoms. symptom checker. Like we have this in WebMD anyway, so I'm gonna build that agent here. So help symptom checker. So an agent checker is an agent that can help you analyze your symptoms and give its say evaluation. So now you can select the model. We by default provide OpenAI models, GPT-4o and 4o mini. I'm selecting GPT-4o and I'm going to give the role. So you are a health symptom checker agent, and I can give some instructions. Analyze the user issue and understand the causes and give your analysis. So now, as layman, we are not prompt engineers. Not all of us are prompt engineers. So what we did, we brought this improve feature. When you click on improve, the agent will automatically improve the prompt to a high quality production grade prompt. I wrote one line as you saw, but see what it did. It was able to convert that into a high quality prompt because your agents are only as good as your prompts. So this takes care of it by clicking improve prompt. You can add any tools that you would want, like email, etc. I'm going to forego all of that. And you can enable features if you want, like memory. If you're building a chatbot, you will enable short-term memories, long-term memories. If you're building, I would say, a high critical agent, you will enable reflection because it improves accuracy. But for this demo, I'm going to leave all of it. I'm just going to click on create. Now the agent is ready, and you can test the agent by asking a question. If you're a developer, you can click on Agent API and even access the API endpoint. So you can seamlessly add these agents to your existing software. So I'm going to, in the interest of time, I'm going to skip these two. I'm going to launch it as an app. As a business user, you don't have to do all of this. Build the agent and go to launch app. Click on launch app. I'm going to launch this app. Say health symptom checker agent and checks the symptoms and shares the analysis. And I'm going to make it public so anyone could obviously try this. I'm launching it. The app is launched. It is here. If I click, you get a beautiful UI now. So you don't have to like have a chat interface anymore. You have an app absolutely ready and you can start asking question. Like I have say knee pain for the last, say, 4 months. Let's see what GPT says. So now it's further asking additional questions. Okay, where are the questions, the kind of question that it asks? And you can give more answers to that as well. Um, so this is how we can start building an app. So if you give all these answers, the agent will be able to come back with better analysis. But what you saw is a simple example of how you could build an agent really quickly. And on a daily basis, I have a bunch of agents that I have built, like my own email writer, my own web page copywriter, and etc. Grammar corrector, etc. So this is how business users can build agents that might help you improve your productivity. So yeah, that's pretty much what Lyzr is. Feel free to log into studio.lyzr.ai and play around. And if you have any complex workflows to solve, like these are several workflows that we solve for our customers. Let me bring it up. So this is for AirAsia, one of the largest airlines in the world. This is for Accenture. They're building a large industrial AI agent for Chevron, which is the number one energy company in the world. So there are several banks and healthcare companies that they build. So if you have any complex workflows that is in your line of work, which you would want to solve, reach out to us and happy to help. Uh, Over to you, Alex. Happy to take any questions.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I think that there are a lot of the use case developed in healthcare using your platform. For example, my current task is to developing similar for the like for example the someone are interested in how to develop the digital therapeutics based on for example the existing therapy or whatever the symptoms or something like that. So my platform to initiate like to discuss with like ChatGPT and then find out what the knowledge available and then provide the like answer. I want to make this as automatic. So actually, this is the one I actually targeting. So maybe I'm the first user of your studio. And anyway, because fantastic. So, okay, so we have 5 minutes more to go. So, is anyone have any question? Then raise a hand. You can ask if you have any specific question to specific speakers, then you can go ahead. Let me check what was the chat. Do you have any
Yeah, I
question?
think there's one question from Yorge, which is what medical LLMs are backing up the agent's knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I'll take a shot at it. Uh, what we've realized is that these frontier models like Claude and Gemini and GPT, they are getting better with the worldly knowledge that they have. We are seeing an increasing trend of even large organizations moving away from fine tuning because they have realized that the secret sauce is not in fine tuning; it is actually in the RAG data that you bring in, the data that you provide, the context that you provide to the agent. So agents most of the time do a just-in-time data pull from your existing database and then use large language models purely for reasoning because large language models are nothing but a next best word predictor. The better the model, then better the next best word it's going to do. So the secret sauce is in RAG. How well do you retrieve data? How accurately do you retrieve data? Recently, Stanford Innovation Labs launched an algorithm called Perspective QA, which combined with a hybrid RAG concept improves the overall accuracy of retrieval. And then when you apply an LLM on top, it does its magic. So that's something that we are seeing. Fine tuning is still good when it comes to, for example, looking into change management tickets and figuring out if you have a good history of trainable data, then fine tuning comes into picture. But otherwise, yeah, we are seeing this trend of relying more on RAG rather than fine tuning.
Thank you. Will hospital value-based purchasing increase expertise in healthcare?
There'll be more to probably Manish or Alex.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
Manish.
can I can take a stab of it, right? I mean, I think purchasing uh, lab equipments and surgical equipments and all that, right? I mean, I think there is a huge need of efficiencies and how do you allocate your labor costs appropriately within hospitals, right? I mean, that is a big challenge with a lot of hospital systems. What trend we are seeing in hospitals are that they have these specialty centers. So not everything is in one hospital, but they are creating specialty centers which are more specialized in type of surgeries or type of treatments. So that's what the trend is in the hospital system. I don't know if purchasing programs will create disparities, but I think there is a lot of scope of efficiencies rather than having a one centralized place to have all type of surgeries or treatments. The trend is to create these centers which are specialized. Obviously, I mean, it's not meant for all, but I think with no comorbidity, there might be a place to get these treatment in a much specialized way, in a much efficient way. Um, I don't know if I can answer about purchasing disparities.
Thank you. Any other question? Lag process. Oh, it's for Siva.
Uh,
Probably for sure.
Not sure. I need to look into that. For us, so far the combination of perspective QA and a hybrid RAG has always worked better. We do use graph RAG in few cases where the kind of where there are established, I would say, relations between data. If available from a database perspective, we do use it. I'll definitely check into Pally. I have not come across. Let me check into that.
Thank you. Okay, so it's almost time. So I recommend to read my presentation. As I'm told that I try to get the information available in healthcare AI agent, and I wrote a small book, and then Manish already talked about all the content actually that I included in my book. So we never talk about, but we have some television to have content. So the final thing that actually that to share with you that I have another things that I'm going to have another webinar on January is to Web3 AI agent, especially for the healthcare. And what the like current you maybe some of you have not been familiar with, but I'm also like working Web3. So Web3 is like you know about the decentralized way to communicate network based on blockchain. And then Web3 community are very initiate a lot of the very interesting topic about the swarm of AI agent. So they want to build billion agent because, for example, that Shiva already talked about his studio. He generated a bunch of the agent right already, right? So in the future, in the world of the world, we have a billion agent working, right? And they are collaborate intelligence, right? So some guys are very smart guys are now working how they can connect them. It's like internet, like you know about internet of things, right? It's the internet of AI agent, right? And they already started, right? So I'm very interesting. Also, like I've been 15 years in Web3 area also. So I'm thinking about in the future that for example healthcare, we have ambient doctor, an AI agent like Mash talk about specialized in different like whether it's cardiology, it's oncology, whatever, right? It's trained and then it's expert. And then it is they collaborate surrounding you, and then they will have you, right? That's I'm thinking of ambient doctors, right? I'm thinking about in the future, right? That's why, for example, what I'm not doing is a digital therapeutics is a digital medicine. So it's a software way to like providing treatment. And why I'm interested in, I want to put in the like AI agent DTX developer. So that means that in the future, the ambient agent surrounding you, monitor you, know about you better than others, and that they can know about your symptoms and the personalized measure, screening, whatever. And then what I'm thinking about is you know that the ChatGPT can develop code, right? So they can develop software medicine only for you, right? I'm not sure what will happen in 10 years later. I'm vision about that. And then, so that's why I'm starting AI agent is really important. And then generate AI should be more developed because already done a lot of things, but we still have need more improvement, innovation. So we are expecting fantastic future, right? So and then thank you, Manish, to share his vision and insight, and particularly Shiver, you are like linking between vision and current, right? And then it's a starting point, right? Who knows that you're building platform is like you incubating a lot of the agent, right? And then I mentioned that they survive, and then they are surrounding you, and then they collaborate in the future. Maybe personal doctor, personal assistant, right? Personal intelligence, ambient intelligence will happen in the future. Okay. Okay, so thank you for attending today's webinar, and then I hope to see you in next my webinar. And then I want to talk with Shiva more about how we can collaborate for developing like a healthcare use case based on your studio, right? Okay,
Sure.
thank you. Yep. Have a nice
Thank
day.
you.
Take care. Bye bye.
Bye.